Hi, I'm Louisa. I'm just here today to do a short mat work session with you. If you have a foam roller, you're very welcome to use it. If you don't have one, it doesn't matter. You can still do the session without a roller, or you might want to perhaps roll up a big bath towel or big blanket and use it in a similar way to the roller. We're also going to use some light hand weights, but again, if you don't have them, doesn't matter. Or you could just use a pair of tin cans or bottles of water or something, or do the exercises without is fine as well. Okay, so let's get started. And we're going to come to relaxation position on your mat with or without your roller. Okay, so I'm going to use mine today just to show you as an option, but otherwise everything else will be the same whether you're propped up or not. So if you're on your roller, just perch yourself right at the end of your full length roller, and I'm going to just walk myself back so I can find relaxation position on here. So try to have your whole spine, neck and head supported, and just find that neutral position of your spine. So the hip bone should be level, ideally legs parallel. It may be there a little bit wider while you get used to being on the roller, and just finding length through the spine, length through the neck. You could always use a cushion for your head if you need it, if that's better for your setup. So to begin with, just focus on your breathing. So you might want just hands on the floor to give you that stability. If you don't need to have them on the floor, perhaps just have the hands on the side of your rib cage. And we'll just sort of settle down towards the roller and begin to think about your breath. So you can take that wide breath in through the nose and that long breath out through your mouth. A wide breath in and that long breath out. So try to feel some movement of the back of your ribs and towards the roller or the mat. So we're not lifting or arching away, you're trying to soften and sink down to the floor or to the roller. You can keep hands on if that's comfortable, or bring them down as I mentioned. So just carrying on with your breath. If you're on the roller, you're already probably fired up your centre. If you're not on the roller, just begin to think about connecting to your centre as you exhale with that little scoop of the tummy. It might feel comfortable just to let your head roll side to side, again, fine on the mat or on the roller, just keeping length through your neck. Okay, so to begin with, once we've settled back in the midline, we're going to do our shoulder drops. I'm going to do them without weights, but you could add the weights if you wanted to. And just bring the arms up into that wide shoulder drop position. So make sure we're not hunched up, feel width across the front and the back of the chest. And go inhale, reach, and exhale, release. So inhale, reach, and exhale, release. Let's just say 2 or 3 single ones, just to get things moving and feel the shoulder blades moving around the ribs. And let's do about 3 of both together. So inhale up, and then exhale to release. That's nice, good. And then we're going to just release down. You may want to do a few circles with the hands on the top of the shoulders, and then we grab weights if you like, or fine without. I've just got really light weights, so about 0.5 kilogram, so they're not too heavy. So I'm bringing the arms back into that shoulder drop position, and then I'm going to soften the elbows here in that big hug shape. Check the ribs are knitted down, and we're going to open out one arm at a time. So I'm going to inhale first, and then exhale as you open, staying as steady as you can if you're on that roller. And then we'll inhale, come back. So exhale, open, and inhale, come back. So your gaze will be up towards the ceiling. You're trying to keep the pelvis steady, shoulders level, and your spine in neutral as you go. So you may want to just stick with that arm. Exhale, open, inhale, back. Definitely a stronger connection to your centre. You may want to add an opposite knee drop to the direction that the arm is opening. So as I exhale centre, I'm going to open out my left leg, right arm, and then I'll inhale, gather back, try not to tense the shoulders. So exhale centre, left arm, right leg, and then inhale, coming back. So it might be your range is a little less than when you were doing these exercises separately, or if you were doing them on the mat as opposed to the roller, but you're trying to keep shoulders level and hips level throughout, and that kind of diagonal connection to your centre. You can almost think of perhaps a piece of elastic opposite shoulder to hip, helping to steady you. That's it. And then from there, I'm going to just release down and pop the weights down. I'm going to put them to the other side so I don't roll on them later on. Okay, so from here, I'm just back to my relaxation position. If the legs were a touch wider on the roller, just check they're in neutral now. And we're going to just release down and do some pelvic tilt. So I want you to try to feel as soft as you can around the glutes and the front of the hips. And just as you connect to your centre on your next exhale, you're going to just add the tiniest little pelvic tilt. You might not be barely able to see me moving. And then inhale, release. I'm just going to exhale, a little tilt. And then inhale, move. It's like you're tucking that tailbone, lengthening out that lumbar spine, but constantly just check in and notice if you're gripping around the glutes and the hips. And if you notice that you are, just try to soften it a little bit. Okay, you can just do a couple more there. So the hands might help you in contact with the ground, but try not to hang on for dear life if you can avoid it. Okay, and return back to neutral. We're then going to begin to bridge up in one piece and spine curl back down. So still perfect on the mat or on the roller. If you're on the roller, you're not going to feel quite the same articulation that you're used to on the mat. And some of you may need to just bridge up and bridge down if that's your normal alternative for possibly back or osteoporosis issues. So you can breath in, and then as you breathe out and centre, I'm going to try and find my bridge, and I don't feel I've lifted that far from the roller at all. And then inhale at the top, and then exhale. I'm going to soften and try to articulate all the way back down to the roller or the mat. So breath and centre, I'm going to lift. So definitely we need to use the glutes more now. Inhale to stay, check we're not squashing up the neck and the throat, and then exhale, try to peel that spine all the way back down. So you might notice you're shimmying up and down your mat or your roller, and adjust a bit if you need to. So breath, centre, lift. Inhale, stay, and then exhale to peel back down as much as you can. From here, an option to add on a ribcage closure when you're at the top if you wanted to. If you feel a little unstable and you need to keep the arms down, that's fine. You could perhaps do the ribcage closure with just staying in relaxation position. We're going to breath and centre, lift up. Inhale at the top, we're going to add my ribcage closure. Exhale, try to leave the arms behind and then begin to articulate as best you can if you're on the roller as you come back down. And then once you find neutral, arms can come back again. And with your ribcage closure, it might be palms down is good for your shoulders. It might be some of you need to keep the palms inwards, okay? Just want to make sure we're not compromising the position down the rest of the spine. So we breath and centre, lift. Inhale, arms. Exhale, spine curl back down. And then once you've landed, arms come back again. I'm going to just do one more of those. So bridge up. Arms as you inhale, exhale, leave the arms as you come back down, and once you've landed, arms will come back again, okay? And then once you've landed, I'm just trying to find my weights again, I'm going to do arm circles. So you could do them without the weights, you could do them on the ground as I keep mentioning. So I'm going to just start with the arms lengthened and the palms facing in towards my roller, or they'll be facing perhaps towards your thighs or your bottom. So really keep the ribs knitted down, that neutral shape of your spine. So breath in first. As you breathe out centre, I'm going to find that ribcage closure position. And especially if you've got the weights, be really careful that you don't try to change the contact points you've got with the roller. Then as I'm going to inhale, I'm slightly turning the weights in my palms up and sweeping the arms round to the side. So they come back in to face me. They might touch down, they might hover. I don't mind. See what suits your shoulders. So exhale back, keep that connection of arms into shoulders. And inhale, we're turning up and then sweeping the arms around. So be careful you don't force them around too far. You're just circling from wherever you get to with your ribcage closure position. And you should be centering quite firmly, quite strongly, especially if you've added that load of the weights. I'm going to just do a couple more, and then we're going to finish in like a pec stretch or a hip roll position. Okay, so when I'm circling back round here, I'm going to let the arms lower, so they're slightly lower than shoulder height. Still careful, I'm not going to flare the ribs. If you've got the weights, you can keep them in the hands, you keep that sense of reach. If you're on your roller, just have a little shimmy side to side. If you're on the mat, you can do a hip roll, and I'll show you that and remind you that in just a moment. So if you're on the roller, just kind of shimmying side to side, getting a little wiggle on that roller. And I'm going to move the weights out of harm's way again. And then I'm just going to slither off bottom first and then nudge that roller out of the way. And I'm just going to soften into the mat and just pause here for a moment. It feels really lovely when you get off of the roller as well, just to feel how soft the floor and your mat might feel. So just take a few breaths here. And then the hip rolls that I mentioned, if you haven't already done them, you may want your cushion, and your arms can be at that same kind of angle, that low V. You could have the legs and feet together, let the pelvis and legs go one way, neck and head the other, and then inhale back again. Or you might prefer, or might like to do a few of each, you have the legs a little wider than hip width and slightly turned out. You can let the pelvis and legs go one way, neck and head the other. Okay, so you're still keeping that sense of width across the upper back. The shoulder blades stay connected to the mat. That's it, lovely. And then from here, I'm going to come back to the centre. You may want to do a full body stretch, so you could slide the legs away, maybe take the arms up and over, still without flaring. Pause in that stretch for a little